Welcome. Welcome to the Creative Marketing Show. It is great to have you here. This podcast I record every Monday live noon. Do I always say noon? I think I always trip over that. 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And it's great to have everyone here. And if you catch me on the replay, you may do so on Stitcher Radio and iTunes. And of course, right here on RoshSillars.com and YouTube. So I promised at the beginning of the year that I would kind of go over what I'm doing and kind of check in. And so this conversation right now is, hey, how's business? How are you doing? What's working for you? And so that's what I'm going to talk about today in terms of what's working for me. And those of you who are catching this on the replay or live, let me know what's working for you in the first quarter of this year, now that we have passed the first quarter. My initial thought was that I was going to have a little bit more regular updates in specific parts, but I'm not going to go through that list specifically today. I want to just talk about what is working in the areas that are working best, and I'll share a little bit of what may not be working. But more importantly, I want to talk about the two main core portions of my business, which is the digital marketing and the photography. So photography, I probably had my biggest quarter related to the size of the jobs presented for opportunities. However, it probably was a very low quarter in terms of the amount of jobs that I have done. Now, I have to say that not all of those jobs died off. Some of them were rebid. Some of them were postponed. So it seems like a lot of people were waiting to make decisions in the first quarter of this year. And so I still have the opportunity to photograph a lot of interesting subjects in the second quarter. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a really interesting second quarter with all the opportunities that are developing. The other thing that is working, obviously, related to, and now let me actually take a step back on the photo side. Photo side, most of that work comes from two areas right now: search engine optimization and referrals. That's where those two areas of business have come from. On the digital marketing side, most of my new business has come from partnerships. And so what I've always said, referrals, word of mouth is really good. Have a plan for that. Search engine optimization so people can find you works really well. And developing partnerships works really well to grow your business. And all three of those areas have happened. All three of those areas have worked for me to grow my businesses. And so so looking back at this first quarter, the question is, how is business? How have I done in this first quarter? And the answer is, I would say I'm up about 20%, which is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I have a bigger goal for the year, but you have to remember, when you create goals, quite often, especially a goal over a year, quite often those goals come to pass the next year. I find that all the time. I'll set a goal for a month, but it doesn't happen until the next month. And a lot of times we think we're failing. It's not a failure. It's because we were doing the work to make that goal happen. And it doesn't always happen in the time frame that we expected. And that's why I see all the time, a big goal of mine doesn't mean I don't accomplish goals during the year. That happens all the time too. But a lot of times the big goals, I really haven't set all the groundwork to make it a reality, the way I want my business to grow, the direction I want it to go. It doesn't happen for, maybe 6 months after I'm really done laying that groundwork. So a lot of this first quarter was the groundwork to get those goals underway and those partnerships underway. And in the first quarter, I think I added 2 or 3 really good partners that I am just thrilled to death to be working with. And they're providing some great opportunity, and it really is a win-win situation in all of these situations. So that's been really good. And so that's been powering probably the majority of the growth in my businesses. So then you need to ask yourself this question once you recognize what is working in your business. The next question is, how can you make it better? What can you do to improve that? Do I go find more partners? Yes and no. I'm open to that, of course, because more partners are going to be very helpful. I like to, make sure the partners aren't necessarily direct competition with each other, because I would like to refer back to them. But it's also important to start thinking about how you can better connect with what is working in your business. So if search engine optimization is working really well, how can you double down on that? If email is working really well, how can you double down on that? If partnerships are working really well, how can you improve those partnerships? And one of the things that I did, especially in the beginning, about midway through the quarter, so that'd be February, is that I started re-implementing my email list or my email communications with the partners. So sake of argument, say there are 10 partners total in various forms. Some are casual, some are people that I've known for a while, but they're people who've referred business on a relatively regular basis. And I put them on a list. It's a very exclusive list. It's not to hundreds of people. It's only to a very few people, where I share really in a digestible way what is going on. Not with me specifically, although I do share at the very bottom some elements that'll help them promote me or work with me easier. Information that they may call me and ask for, and have it all down there so they just know, look at the last email. But I share information that'll make it easier for them to understand what it is that I do. For me specifically within my business, what's the latest in the industry related to what I do? And then they are more empowered. So the answer is empowering the people who are referring the business and working with me, going after the same target markets together. How can I empower them a little bit more? And that's what's been working. And in building those relationships and making them stronger and making them feel, by using me, they have made a good choice. So that's what I've been doing. I think that moving forward, I will continue to do a couple new things that I have on my board. I have a list of 3 things that I wanted to do, and the partner email was one. But I only got one of those things done, and that was the partner email. But darn it, I got that one going. The next one is creating more and better sales videos for advertising. And I have a few, and I've tested a few out in the past, and they seem to be working well in terms of awareness. I can't attribute any direct sales to them. However, I know there are better ways to go about it, and I'm going to implement some of those better ways. And most of it is really just testing and making sure I have a good location for people to go. And one thing I have not tested are the display ads for video. I've only used the YouTube. So I want to try display ads in AdWords also. The other thing is I'm just kind of waiting. I'm waiting for LinkedIn video, because I want to keep a regular, now obviously you can upload videos, but I want to go live. And if you haven't seen my last video over at Rosh.video, that's the YouTube channel, just go Rosh.video, and you can see the social media marketing. I share some ideas, and one of the things that I share in there that I think is really important are the 3 areas in 2019 that you really need to focus on if you're going to use social media effectively, as part of any good social media strategy and plan. And that is video, going live, and stories. Using all 3 of those things more effectively. I haven't used stories effectively. That's one area. I think I've used video pretty well. Going live, obviously, I use that. But I want to go live on LinkedIn and make that a partner channel with the YouTube channel, because I know there are a lot of opportunities there. And some of the partners there on LinkedIn. And if I can keep in front of them and help empower them with more information. And honestly, I mean, the other day, I was in a meeting, And actually, it's happened a couple times over the last few weeks where I was in a meeting where somebody either looked me up or had run across some of my videos. And so because of that, because they saw those videos, they're a little more familiar with me by the time that I get in. I even do this in my email signature. I have to make a new one, but I did it for a good year, 2 years ago. And I really did find it helpful because people, before they met me the first time, already felt like they knew me. And that softening of that introduction was really helpful, whether it was for photography or digital marketing, whatever it was, they felt that they knew me and they appreciated that meeting. And it's happened more than once. So, I mean, more than once in the last couple of weeks, but all throughout that year, I mean, I would go into a number of meetings because people really did look at those videos and they felt that they knew me a little bit better. So using video more effectively like that, upping the game and the things that were working before, that's even more important. Now, whatever type of business you're in, think about what you can do. What information, how can you warm people up with video before you actually meet with them or talk with them, before you actually give the pitch? You know, I think in most cases, you don't want to give a pitch in that video. You just want to share a little bit about you or maybe what to expect in the process. There are a number of ways to approach it, but think about them more. Don't pitch them. Especially if you're going to an in-person meeting to pitch them, let that be the pitch. Let them feel comfortable with you, not put off by you. And I think if I was just trying to sell somebody in that video, they would be put off, and now they're on guard for when I walk through the door. I've already taken the time to get them upset and be on the defensive before I've even really said hello in person. So I think moving forward, more of that will continue to work. I'm really curious to what is working for you. I really want to see that in the comments. I'll be checking in every few days. I have updated. Now, one of the things that, if you have a new plan for the next quarter, let me know. Say yes or no in the comments. And if you dare share some of that plan and what you think is going to work for you. One of the things I had also planned for last quarter was, which I've done, which was to divide up my YouTube channels. And what I have done is obviously my main channel, and I'm using the visual suggestion ladder, which has been very helpful. And another part of that is that I know that my tutorial videos do really well. So I'm sent that over to Rosh Media. And I just recorded a number of them and uploaded them. And they're very simple, just more for search. But I really am looking forward to adding more and more because I know they do extremely well. And these will be partner channels to the core channel, Rosh.video. And that's what this channel is. This is basically where I hold the podcast. A lot of creatives listen to this podcast and watch the podcast. And I talk business. Now, one thing I haven't, thank you for all the thumbs up. I appreciate it. One thing I have not done as of yet is I haven't been consistent on this channel with the business of photography stuff and on this YouTube channel. Although I have the podcast here every week, that's been keeping it going. But so now I have the 3 channels. And so now that I've gotten the Rosh Media, the tutorials starting to come up, I recorded a bunch of them actually today. Now I have room that I can get that second video up here on this channel, specifically for photographers. Because the podcast is more creative businesses as a whole. And of course, Rosh.video is totally just straight up business and marketing for anybody and everybody. So I have 3 various areas that I think are working out all right. Something new. There are a number of new things that I am kind of getting excited about. One thing that I am waiting for the most is back to the topic of YouTube it's just been very quiet. And that is the A/B testing of thumbnails. I really want that so badly. It hurts. Now you can do that on TubeBuddy, but I'm actually running one, a test for an older video that's doing very well and seeing if I can improve the click-through rate on that. But I want to be able to kick some videos off, and I don't want to use TubeBuddy to do that. So I'm looking forward to that, especially when now that I'm using the video suggestion ladder, VSL, I'm getting more views. So an A/B test makes sense. If I was only getting 10 views, then the A/B test would be a lot harder to do and really get accurate data. I mean, it's still hard to get accurate data with 40, 50, 60 views in terms compared to somebody who's getting hundreds of views, but it's a lot better. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And again, my click-through rates are going up enough. I can see I'm also really working hard to improve the retention now, because video suggestion ladder by its nature, higher click-through rate, but lower view rate. So I'm improving that, and I'm actually going through and looking at my editing styles and skills and upgrading them, learning how to create more interesting effects that are relevant, and maybe just a few fun editing tricks here and there, just to get people's attention, because that's a big part of it, is really understanding how to keep people's attention and offering the good information. So that combination is working. And that's true on any social media channel. And I talked a lot about that on the video that I launched today. Okay, so that's what I have for this week. It's a rather short podcast and video, but I wanted to kind of update you, as I said, on my business and how it's going. Answer is up 20% overall, which is good. And I really think we're seeing some solid movement moving forward. Hey, Harley has a thought here. Have you thought about using Facebook ads to A/B test thumbnails? I've not tried it, but I found it intriguing when I heard about it. Yeah, I have thought about that, but I really don't want to be paying for it, and in that way. And also, I mean, I've used ads to test headlines before. I've tested ads to figure out what people do like, maybe for some clients in some situations. I don't think it's a horrible idea, but I upload enough stuff that I don't want to keep waiting for tests every time in terms of Facebook ads. That may delay me, even if it's a 24-hour delay. I mean, I know what I'm going to talk about, but I usually create the topic and start developing the thumbnail, outline it, go publish, and then down the road, then I publish. Now, as you say that, come to think of it, I do have finally have a backlog. I'm actually about 10 days ahead in my videos, which did not happen before. So maybe I do have time, where in the past it was reasonable to say, no, I didn't. But maybe now that I'm thinking about it, but I still go back to, I'd rather just have it naturally in YouTube, so YouTube people are clicking on something that they want. But the answer is absolutely a great idea, and one way to go about it, especially if you have something that you think is really, really important, like you have a cornerstone video. There, I would definitely be more open to going to the A/B testing route with Facebook or even Twitter, and see what works best. I'm speaking of Twitter. I'm even getting ideas off of Twitter. I've been doing that for maybe 6 months, 6 months, a year, in terms of topic ideas. Which topic or even headline seems to grab people's attention via polls? I've done that, and that's worked out pretty well too. So thank you. That was a great question. And certainly I know a way that people have approached it that way. I know, I think even Daryl Eves has mentioned that he's done that in the past. If he still does, I don't know, but certainly legitimate. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who has come in and said hello and given a thumbs up. I appreciate you all. We'll see you next Monday, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You have a great week.